Call me Dave. Back for a bit of fun. Yeah, let's have a laugh, shall we? This was a true conversation that I had. I was in the local fish and chip shop, and I had a list with me. Yeah, I said I got a list. The missus has written small chips, better have a large one. She likes a big portion. Well, she don't have much choice in that. You know what I mean? He said, "Do you want scraps with that?" I said, "No, we're fucking fighting enough as it is, mate." I said, "She's written here sausage, but I'll give her a jumbo sausage. She'll love that." And he said, "Plain or battered?" I said, "She likes it plain and shiny, but I prefer a battered one." I said, "But just not one with an orange skin around it, you know, a Savoy, and we'll be fine." And the man, he said back, he said, "Just she likes salt and pepper?" I said, "Well, she likes me pushing it real good, if you know what I mean, but she's more into take that, and she might have to later." He said, "Do you want red sauce?" I said, "Nah, I want some fun later, mate, honest." And then he turned to me, he said, "What will you have then, geezer?" I said, "I'll have 2 juicy beef burgers, please." He said, "Do you want rolls or baps?" I said, "I like 2 big baps." He said, "Wouldn't we fucking all, mate?" I said, "If you play your cards right, you might get your hands on them later." I said, fair play." He said, "Would you like pickled gherkin?" I said, "Yeah, I better have a few glasses of wine, you know, before I start warming the oven up later, you know, before I put the meat in." And the geezer said, "Well, how about the missus? Does she like pickled eggs? Or does she want pickled eggs?" I said, "I think it might do her good. She'll have a few glasses of wine as well, you know. That'll put her in a mood." I mean, I put her in the mood. And the man said, "All done." "Oh, that's it." He said, "Yeah, it's all done." He said, "Would you like a big bag?" And I said, "I got one. Who do you think I'm buying the fucking chips for?" Yeah. I said, "Thanks, mate." He gave me a bag in the end. Now, fellas, be careful. There's a new trick going around. People are taking anodine tablets and they're dipping them in a blue sugar coating and they're selling them on the street as Viagra. Ripping you off. So that's 2 things I didn't have last night. A hard on and a fucking headache. You know what I mean? And last week we bought a new dog for security, really. That's a cross between a Japanese Shih Tzu and a bulldog. That's a bullshitter. So now we have 2 fucking dogs. They're good for company, I suppose. And the dogs are called Rolex and Accurist. They're watchdogs. I mean, they watched somebody break in and nick the fucking TV the other day. Fucking useless. Bloody watchdogs. I like them little dash hounds and the little sausage dogs. They're walking along and their bloody balls are scraping on the pavement. Get out. And we think we've got it tough, fellas. I went to a party last night with some friends. That was that boring. I had to fucking spike my own drink. You know, I came home and we had a candlelit dinner. We had a fucking power cut, didn't we? And then my missus gave me a nice little blowjob. So I had 5 minutes of fucking peace and quiet as well. Lovely. And my mate was speaking to me. I said, "I'm suffering with constipation." My mate said, "Isn't that constipation?" I said, "No, this one is definitely constipation." He said, "How do you know?" I said, "It's caused by this cunt being horrible to me." Constipation. Remember that one. My daughter liked ballet, and she'd had lessons and that. She come home one day, she said, "I want to try tap dancing." And in all fairness, she was quite good at first, but after a while she kept falling in the fucking sink. That joke only works in the UK. That'd be a fucking faucet in America, wouldn't it? That's something that you fucking use when you give them birth, isn't it? Like that's forceps. The other night, I had the best sex ever. Pity she ain't been awake, but you can't have everything, can you? No screaming and shouting at me, that was heaven. I felt like the postman who'd just finished his round. My fucking sack was completely empty. You know what I mean? Well, they say that during sex, on average, you burn off as many calories as you would do on an 8-mile run. The trouble is, fellas, you can't run 8 miles in fucking 2 minutes, can you? So in truth, it's much easier to have sex and join the fucking gym. You burn more calories. Ladies, let's get on. Let's get it on. What's the difference between a hormone and an enzyme? You can hear a hormone quite loudly, can't you? Yeah, an enzyme is a tiny little thing, you know. Terrible. I was reading the newspaper earlier. There's some shit in the newspaper. Fucking hell. Wipe your ass on it, they'll be covered in it. I just read Mickey Mouse is divorcing Minnie Mouse. My mate said, "Why?" I said, "Is it because she's too silly?" He said, "No, it's because she's fucking goofy." I thought that was quite funny. And I worked in mental health for years, and many people are badly affected by their childhood, and it completely ruined the rest of their lives. For example, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's dad used to get on that stage and sing this shit now. Michael, I just want to play with the kids. Michael, get on that fucking, go, stand there and sing nicely. We'll make millions. Dad, I just want to play with the kids. His dad said, fuck the kids. And that stuck with him for the rest of his life. So be careful what you say to your kids, just the moral of that fucking joke. What's the difference between a condom and a coffin? You come in the Johnny and you go in the fucking coffin. You know what I mean? There's these 3 old deers sat on a park bench. And this young geezer comes up in a Mac, a flasher. He starts waving his todger at him, you know, the old windmill style. And he slapped the first lady on the nose. The second lady was so shocked she had a stroke. And the third lady couldn't quite reach it. Come here, young man. Come here. She had a stroke. This morning I accidentally watched fucking Loose Women. Someone left the TV on. Jordan was on there. So it should have been called Very Loose Women, shouldn't it? You know what I mean? And a woman's vagina is just like the weather. Once it's wet, it's time to go inside. You know what I mean? Why was the 2-piece swimsuit invented? To separate the hairy from the dairy. What do you call that little bit of skin between a woman's twat and her shitter? That's called her Twitter. Some men love licking that bit, kissing that bit. Some men got married and some men got divorced because of that bit. Anyway, the other night I was in bed with the missus and I started running my hand up her back, gently, over her shoulders, down her chest, gently over each breast. I thought she'd get a little bit aroused here. I kept going a little bit, down to her stomach, to her left hip. I went right down the side of her leg, all the way back up the inside of her leg, just stroked over the beaver gently, up to the paddy button, down the other side, up the inside leg, got to the top and she let out a little sigh. I stopped straight away and I moved back to my side of the bed. She said, don't stop. I said, that's okay, darling, I found a remote control now, we're sorted. What do you want to watch? That's what a fucking typical place is like. I prefer a bit of action. I was in the dentist yesterday, and there was this woman in there. She's very frightened. She was like shaking. She went into the dentist room, and she said to the dentist, I'd rather go through the pain of childbirth again than have that drill in my mouth. The dentist said, can you please make up your mind, missus, so I can adjust me fucking chair to the right height? He would have given both. Which is an attractive feature. A really attractive woman comes up to the bar and asks to speak to the manager. And the man behind the bar says, I'm sorry, he's not in tonight, can I help? She said, sure you can. She leaned over the bar towards him and she ran her fingers through his hair. She started putting her finger in his mouth, running it over his teeth and just touching him everywhere. And then she mimicked, put her finger in his mouth and sucked her finger. And she said, right, the message for the manager. You might want to tell him there's no toilet paper, no soap, and no fucking paper towels in the ladies' bog. Dirty fucker. I got home a little early the other night, and there was a funny smell in the air. I said, darling, you haven't lit that Gwyneth Paltrow candle I got, have you? I walked into the bedroom, and she was sat there with a beaver out. Curly clock springs, everything. I said, will you put that thing away? You'll scare the fucking neighbours. The old Jurassic Park area. I call it that because it hides a monster. I said, next door's cat is at the window licking his fucking lips. You know what I mean? Brush your hair, will you? My mate just moved into a bungalow, as what his missus wanted. And she's a right cow. Fucking every other night she says to him, if you carry me up them stairs, I'll give you a right good seeing to. The bastard, there ain't no stairs, is there? Fucking. So I said, make a bedroom in the loft. Cheeky cow, we'll fix that. Fit it with a love swing and a sexual torture bed, you know, handcuffs, leg restraints, rampant rabbit and some tingly lube. And she won't be able to fucking resist you. And for all the times she's tortured you, you'll finally give her that fucking good sorted out that you was promised. And then when they bury that woman, she'll be in a fucking Y-shaped coffin, hopefully. And on the gravestone, that'll read, together at last. Her legs. Have a good evening. Speak to you soon. Take care.